Hello and welcome back to the smoke room. We will be beginning William's portion of the route. If you recall, William is the sheriff. So let's see how well he'll take Samuel telling him the truth about what happened in the mines. I'm just not sure about the weasel or the fox right now. The noise in this room isn't getting any quieter. I can't stop thinking about how I'm in a room full of noisy, panicked people, and that I'm the direct cause of it. Of all the nights for Nick to stay away, I wish he wouldn't have picked this one. I'm not in the right mindset to work, and I need somebody to talk to. And I can feel like something is staring at me from somewhere above or somewhere below where nobody else can see it. But I can feel it. Back when I felt its breath on my neck. This is only gonna get worse, isn't it? You know, Sam, you really lucked out with the pigs tonight. Why, if I were in your shoes, you let me alone. The room had quieted some. Some of the girls look at me. I hadn't meant to yell that loud, but it feels like something is coming out tonight. Cynthia looks at me as if she has something on her mind, as if she has something she can't decide to ask or not. Murdoch narrows his eyes and frowns. Cliff looks at me, then to the foxes, looking hapless. I'm not gonna work tonight, too spooked. If I may be so bold, Sam, I'm spooked plenty of nights, but I'm half as tall and weigh 2/3 as less as you. So what's your real excuse for turning away business like this? I might have soured his mood something. Playful distractions can make things worse for some folks, not better. I'm sorry I was so casual with you, Sam. I feel that there's no reason for everyone to be so tense. The West is a wild place after all. I welcome some excitement. Nothing much exciting about this, I'm afraid. The mining and the railroad force are the lifeblood of this town, so if they aren't satisfied soon, it could mean big trouble. The mining union has made noise before, but it's never been this pressing at this hour. The door behind us suddenly opens. I stare at William, our glances meet, but his gaze doesn't linger. Attention, folks! There's nothing left to fuss about. Todd handled this crisis. Everything's under control. You're all permitted to go now, but I should hope I don't have to point out how foolish it could be to leave the building tonight. Considering circumstances, I won't be held responsible for your necks, so act accordingly. Some of the girls let out a sigh of relief. Cynthia is already walking away with Cliff. She whispers into his ear and he turns back to look at me, but her stride doesn't allow him to tarry. She ushers him forward into one of the many doors leading into the halls. Murdoch lounges on one of the couches some ladies have vacated. His eyelids are half lit and he looks frightfully bored. He dismisses every woman that approaches him, and they leave with a shrug. I take a step towards William. My heart pounds in my chest and my sweat goes cold as it soaks into my fur. William? Sam? I swallow hard. I need to talk to you about something urgent. Can it wait? I grab his wrist and hold it, drawing my claws. My hands were shaking. My voice was hoarse. No, William, it can't. William hums and tuts. Fine, you got someplace quiet to talk? My room. Son of a bitch. This had better be important, Sam. I taste the inside of my mouth and nod, then march forward. Well, you have my attention. Tell me, what's so important that you needed to drag me here? I take a deep breath. I think about a lot of things before I say what I'm about to say. I figure that even if I did get away with killing Jack scot-free, that wouldn't matter to God. What I did can't be changed, and I know I'm going to pay for it. But what I can't handle now is the fear and the guilt, that constant looking over my shoulder. If I'm finished, I want to feel finished, not this wretched in-between of waiting for a pin to drop. I knew that miner, William, the dead one. Did you now? I breathe in. I breathe out. He was real nice at first. Sometimes I'm still convinced that he didn't mean it, that he was desperate enough to do the wrong thing at the last minute. That's how earnest it felt. At least how earnest it felt to me. Made me all sorts of promises. Made me feel wonderful things that I hadn't felt in all my life. Then he led me down into the mines. I have to stop to clear my throat. Took my money. Took my dignity. Tried to leave me there to die. Willem's eyes narrow as his gaze bores into me. So after he attacked me, I got him first. I killed Jack William. I'm the real reason a riot formed outside today and tonight. The big coyote shifts uncomfortably. He steps forward and grabs my shoulders. Okay. Here's what we're going to do, right now. He was biting his lips, and there was something wild in his eyes. At first I thought I wanted this. Now every fiber in my being is waking up. My brain is screaming that I want to be alive. I look down at his belt and notice William's gun. You're going to tell me everything from the beginning. That calms me down a little. How you met him, how you got yourself into this mess, and how he attacked you. How you fought back. So I agree, and I tell him everything. The promise, that happy week, the mine shaft and the bags of rocks, then the pickaxe. I show him my scar too. Willem hums and lets go of me. So that's your story then. Here's what I think. I think that putting a pickaxe between the eyes of that waste of space was the least stupid thing you've done during your stay in Echo. What? I hear the wood beneath my feet creak as I shift my weight. I'm not sure that I'm hearing these words correctly. I've seen your balls plenty, Sam. But here's the first occasion that makes me think you've got 'em. If you ain't lying to me, he played you like a damn fiddle. I can't believe his reaction. Nothing is making a lick of sense. I need to repeat myself. William, I'm a murderer. Unless you lied to me, boy, bullshit. You think I'm a murderer for putting a bullet between a bastard's eye? Done it more than once. Do you think you're the first to spill blood in Echo? Do you have any idea how many duels go south? How many bar fights, opium-cracked seizures, and drunken arguments I've had to mop off the floor of this town? When it comes to life and death scenarios, there are winners and then there are losers. I know you, Sam. You wouldn't hurt a fly unless you were forced to. Frankly, it's one of your worst qualities. Part of me still can't believe I'm hearing this. Was William telling me the truth? William knows more about the law than I ever will. Did I really do nothing wrong? All of this fear, all of this self-hatred? Was it really all for nothing? For the love of God, please don't bawl like a woman in front of me. I wipe my warm tears from my cheeks and nod. So, what now? Now that's a fine question. Protocol is that I take you into custody tonight and reveal your confession to the public in the morning. Then you present your case formally, I prepare it for the judge, and you wait for your trial. After that, I do some investigating. I present the evidence we found in the mines. If it aligns with your story, I'd recommend no charges against you. So that's what we're going to do then? Oh, absolutely not. James Hendricks is involved now. A mob of angry miners think that it's all his fault. But it isn't. You drag thousands of desperate men into a shithole, promise them the dreams of a house in the future, and you pay them in peanuts, and you expect that it isn't a powder keg waiting to go off? But that doesn't make James a killer. I'm the one who did it. That's a good line, if you're feeling suicidal. Save it for the trial. My head is spinning. I don't understand what you're talking about. I just want to do the right thing. It's true. You don't understand plenty, so let me make it plain. James Hendricks owns the mine. But he doesn't own the town. As rich as his family is, they ain't trusted. James's granddaddy left people feeling uneasy, and his grandsons frivolous and neglectful. Town leaders don't like him, or his shiny automobiles. Half of his workforce hates his guts. But he'll spend any amount to put on any performance for the town's leaders he wants to win over. If you come forward with the truth that you killed a man in self-defense, I believe James would do anything in his power to make the workers that hate him feel less embarrassed. He wants them to like him. Hanging you would be so easy. I was afraid of something like that from the start. It ain't right. I don't deserve that. No shit, it ain't right. But it's true. Then what am I going to do? First thing you're going to do is quit your bitching. Like I said, in a normal situation, we'd have a trial, and you'd be free to fill your mouth with cream all night, or whatever else you do with yourself to stay busy. This ain't a normal situation. So you keep your mouth shut and forget what I told you. And as for James, well, let's let that fester. Everything feels heavy again. I thought confessing would stop all this, but it just keeps happening to me again and again. But what am I supposed to do right now, this very night? I was getting to that. But you're not going to like it. I haven't liked any of this, William. Murdoch has pictures of the body, but we haven't had the opportunity to visit the crime scene. I want you to show me where it happened, and where the bags of rock were. My heart is beating against my ribcage. I think I can feel the breath on my neck again. Why do you need me in that place? For such a thing? Because we're going tonight. I want to see it for myself that you didn't lie to me. I don't want to go there, William. It's either that or I take you into custody tonight. But you said you wouldn't do that. That's the only way I'll be able to keep an eye on you before this matter is settled. Grab a lantern and be ready in 5 minutes. I cursed to myself. There's no way I'm sitting in a jail cell. But the memories of that place are warming me up to the idea of iron bars. I don't want to die just yet. And if what William says is true, and I haven't done anything wrong, maybe things will be okay. Maybe going back there for just a little while will be the worst of this. I breathe in. I breathe out. The lantern's handle is cool to the touch when I grasp it. I lift it from my vanity and head out the door. I can see William waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs. The red fox is there too. He looks a bit haggard, and I can read the agitation in the twitches of his tail. You still need me after all this? Hush up. We've got places we need to be. I have other obligations early in the morning. You're getting paid for your obligations tonight. You'll manage. Very well, sir. The sudden change in the fox's tone, expression, and general cheeriness unnerved me. He went from irate to amiable at the drop of a hat. I reach the bottom of the stairs and suddenly both of the men give me their attention. Wait, you meant him? He's our man. Really? The fox stated it like a confirmation rather than a question. I will let you lead the way then, sir. Sam will light the way. Would you like me to hold the light for you, Sam? Don't. I want his hands busy. I don't have anything on me. Just a precaution, Sam. Even if that's true, I don't like being treated like a prisoner. When I open the door, I'm rattled by the hulking shadow that had been waiting just behind the doorframe. Sam! Nick? I hated how croaky my voice sounds. The badger quickly looks around, catching William and Murdoch next to me. Oh, William. He looks at me, then I can tell that he recognizes the guilt on my face. He was there that day. He saw my injury and knew where I was coming from. Where are you taking him? Calm yourself. We don't need none of that. Frankly, it's a matter of the law. Sam claims to be a witness that may or may not hold water. Did he know? I nod slowly. Nick adjusts his hat and looks behind him, looking more and more like somebody was hitting him with each growing second. It looks as if he's considering whether or not to leave right at this moment. It would be handy to have some folks around who are familiar with the mines. Is that so? I'll come along then. He's going to want to know everything. I don't think I have the energy to spill the worst things that have happened in my life twice in a day.
Sam doesn't know the mines too well. I'll let you know if he's steering you wrong.
I don't know whether or not I should feel grateful or betrayed by that comment. I know Nik knows. He saw straight through my lie 2 weeks ago. He probably just put all the pieces together, which is why he must have missed the appointment with me and only now intended to see me. He walks beside me, marching forward.
Do you mind if I talk to him in private, William?
No concern of mine, so as long as you're 30 paces ahead of us. I stare ahead, feeling nothing as we walk between shops. A few tumbleweeds pass us.
So you must have heard about Jack today.
My mouth dries out. Hard news to ignore.
And you know that all the people are upset about it too?
Things like this can snowball.
Of course. But they probably wouldn't have if my folks knew where you were 2 weeks ago. You could have told me, Sam.
No, I probably couldn't have. But you're not ready to hear that, are you, Nik? So I just look away and think about what to say next. The lights of a few miners shine at us as we take a look a few blocks ahead. There's more than a few of them huddled in groups, bantering with one another. Get along home, folks. The chattering of the miners stops when they recognize William's voice. We don't hear much more from them. Footsteps behind me stop. Is he all right?
Sam, we have to go left here.
What? My voice comes out as a mumble.
You'll loop back to the hip if you go this way.
He's right. It takes more willpower than I thought to stop myself. I swerve to the right, leading us to the dirt road. We walk for a good 5 minutes or so without any words spoken between the four of us. William? I keep walking.
What, Sam?
What if somebody moved the rocks when we get there?
Doesn't seem likely.
It's been 2 weeks. I feel Nik tighten beside me as I say that. We could check for signs of them. But if I'm being honest, it sounds more likely that you made up a detail than somebody moved bags full of rocks on their own accord.
If that's the area where we found Jack, it hasn't been in use for some time.
My feet stumble. I hadn't realized Nik was one of the people who found Jack. I don't think I could have stomach seeing what was left of him.
Nobody would have cleared them out for hazard prevention. So if Sam says that they're there, then they will be there.
I expect them to be. But if they ain't, one lie tends to reveal more lies. I'm not lying. Didn't say you were. A light shines on the road ahead of us. As we move closer, a lanky figure meets us. Oi, who's there? Stand down, Todd. William? Oh, you're back earlier than I thought. I can agree on that. How goes the patrol? In some ways, better than expected. Was worried when I saw a cap light ahead, but it was just Nik and the rest of you. There's more compliance than I thought there'd be, but it might only be temporary. Some folks are going to want to talk to you tomorrow. I'll attend to it. But something else came up. Such as? The otter takes a breath. I've been feeling funny, so it might have been nothing. Well, what did you think you saw, Todd? The otter rubs his neck. Dancing ladies. Dancing ladies? That's what I said, William. Dancing ladies, a group of 3 with picnic baskets, prancing into the mine. Dancing ladies shouldn't be going into a fucking mine, Todd. What the hell? That's part of why I was hesitant to report it, sir. I don't think they were real. Fuck's sake, Todd, are you on something? No, sir. I'm clean as a whistle. But I might be running a fever. Folks say it's normal in these parts to get sick and see things, especially when you work long hours and run low on water. Ain't nothing normal about seeing 3 ladies prance into a mine with picnic baskets. Jesus Christ, Todd! The otter shuffles. He's clearly embarrassed. That we can't agree on, sir. Well, we're going into the mines anyway. That unnerves the otter quite a bit. Oh, what for? Need extra eyes on this one. He points at me. He's showing me something important. But I don't expect he'll do anything stupid because his word is on the line. That means I'm going to need you to go back into town near the station. Todd's brow lifts and he whistles. I can do that, no trouble at all. Good, let's move. Oh, Todd, before I forget. The otter turns on a dime and gives William his full attention. If we're not back before dawn, put up a warrant for Sam here. Yes, sir. The otter trots off, and I'm trying to feel the effects of the words that hit me. But I don't feel anything right now. Instead, listlessly, I move forward. I take everybody around the front entrance and show them the boulder with the back entrance to the mine. I try to tell myself that it's just an opening into the earth. That the air flowing out of the entrance doesn't feel like breath. That it doesn't feel like something is watching me all over again. I take my first step in. The air is already heavy. Nik approves my direction as I guide our group deeper into the area. I find that place in the dark where the walls start to get cramped. It would be best for me not to pass through here. You only got stuck the first time. I should be able to pass through easily. Wait. Anybody else hear that? Sounded like laughter. Girls laughing. We listen for a little while longer. I wouldn't be surprised if there's idle youths haunting these less used passages down here. I used to do it. Might as well get this night over with. Be my guest and go through that tunnel first then. I can, but I'll have to be careful with my equipment. The fox goes in through before me. Then I go through with William tailing me. Nik stays behind. When I emerge on the other side of the cramped tunnel, that earthy, gritty smell clogs my senses and makes me want to vomit. There's a rusty stain where Jack's body fell, but his corpse and the pickaxe are gone. And so are the rocks. No! I circle the enclosure with my lamp, looking every which way, and I can't find the bags anywhere. They were here! I promise, they were here! Stop this! He puts his hands on my shoulders. Take a deep breath. I nod, frantically, but feel myself about to break down again. William walks me back to the entrance of the tunnel. Walk me where he told you to go. So I do. But there was nothing there except spiky moss. Or at least what looks like moss. Jesus, there's a tarantula nest. I flinch away, my paw almost having brushed one of the many bundles of legs. Those are adult-sized tarantulas. Usually you don't see them in clusters like this unless it's an October migration. Looks like they've been huddling for warmth. Before cannibalizing one another. Willem kneels down and slaps away a few of the layers of spiders with a flat rock. There's our sacks of rocks. The big coyote turned and looked at me. See? You're good, Sam. My chest tightened as he smiled at me. He looked to Murdoch and jerked his head. Let's get photographs of these rocks for the case file. Alright, I'll need better lighting than an oil lantern for anything clear down here. The fox pulls a small cylinder canister, tweezers, and a packet of matches from the inside of his vest. First, he unfolds his camera, then turns a knob on top of it. He pulls a spool of thin metal from the tip of the canister and sets it down on the ground. Then he lights a match and ignites the strip. You're going to want to look away. Away from what? I don't see anything. Whoa! The fox springs to his knees quickly and takes a snap. Then he rolls the knob on his camera. I hear 3 phases of clicks and rolls before the blinding white light goes out. I'm seeing spots. Magnesium takes a little time to burn, but once it starts, it won't stop. Anyway, I got the pictures. 3 should be enough. I take a deep breath and exhale. With this settled, Murdoch packs his things up. We leave one by one, this time me and William trailing behind the end. I know I should feel safe.
but my fur prickles up on the back of my neck. I still feel something watching me. At the entrance of the mine, we get ready to leave, but some sickly, sticky guilt keeps me there. And then something happens I can't ignore. You hear that? Hear what? That's a woman's voice saying, I love you? I didn't hear anything. I'm lying through my teeth. Christ, Sam, you gotta be deaf. Maybe Todd wasn't seeing things after all. The coyote turned to yell into the tunnel. If there's a bunch of pranksters in here, y'all better get home. This place ain't safe during the day when there's lots of people here poking around alone without experience is a death wish. There's no reply. But something from deep in the mines responds. Something that sounded like a mix between a high-pitched laughter and dead leaves. I can tell from William's face that he heard something too. But he turns away. As we walk, I think about what I told William. That I didn't hear a woman saying I love you. And that part was true. Because I heard something else. Aren't you hungry too? I did not look back. I did not speak to that voice. I just stared at William's back, who was willing to walk in front of me now, guiding us home with a lantern. Nikolai broke away from our line first. I had to stop him from leaving so abruptly. We didn't get to talk much, Nick. No, we didn't. Not sure that I want to right now. But Nick, I'll see you again in a few days, Sam. Again, I don't want to talk right now. I don't blame him for being this upset. Nick is always the one who I can talk to about things. But I couldn't face him this time. Not about this. And he knows I confessed before telling him. I wouldn't trust me either. And I wouldn't have promised to see him later. That one doesn't talk much. But he's not very good at hiding how he feels. Some of us talk enough for the rest of us. Some so much so that there isn't enough room for the rest of us. But you decided to say what needed to be said, anyway. It could have been so much worse for you. I flinch a bit when the fox puts his paws on my shoulder and gives it a small squeeze. It's hard to do the right thing, handsome. I feel myself wince. It's such a mess. William will clean it up. It's what he's good at. I'm not a maid, Fox. I should hope not. Your office is a disgrace. What the hell? Regardless. The gallant protect the gallant. Remember that. I think your big, earnest friend will come to that conclusion in time, too. Now, William. I'm tired, and I'm going home. Yeah. I'll have the pictures developed in about 3 days if I'm allowed to prioritize that. Might not be necessary, but I'll see that I can convince your pa to do. Go on, get. Thank you. The fox fades away in between the buildings. It's so late that most of the bars don't even have lights on. In time, we arrive upon the sheriff's office. Inside is a nicely furnished office with scattered papers piled on the desk. Todd is pacing back and forth diligently. I'm surprised there exists a man this dedicated to this post. I'm certainly not suited to be any deputy. William, Sam, you're back before dawn. Yoder winks at me. Bet you're glad about that most of all. Oh, that's right. I forgot that Willie put a conditional warrant on me. In his defense, it's good to be prepared. In my defense, I resent it a little. Couldn't be gayer. The mines weren't trouble, were they? William and I looked to one another. I heard something strange, but we didn't want to linger. Might be folks doing something sly in that mine after all. I'll put a pin in it. The coyote looks at his watch. Go home, Todd. It's 3:30. Is it really? The folks must be worried sick about me with all the commotion today. I hope they'll forgive me for making them worry. Try to get some rest. You too, William. The coyote sighs and takes a seat at his desk. Well, I got a few busy weeks ahead of me. So, I'm free to go? Yes, for the moment. I look behind me, out to the door. The night is darker than any I've ever seen in a long time. Is it okay if I stay for the night? The coyote laughs. He rifles through his pocket and pulls out a key ring. Then he stands up and beckons me over to another room with his burly arm. We come to a small, cramped room with a lounge chair and a desk in front of iron bars. I thought you hated the idea of sleeping in a prison. I start to reconsider if it's really that dark outside. That's certainly true. That's the only bed we've got. The coyote paces around the room, then finds some boxes and blankets. In no time at all, the chair in front of the desk is looking like a cozier kind of bed. Alright then, I'll be the prisoner for the rest of the night. He opens the jail cell and makes himself comfy on the prison bed, fluffing up the pillow there. If I get fleas from this, you're washing them out of me. When I fall asleep, I wouldn't recommend any bright ideas about skipping out of town. I scoff at him. I don't have any money to anyway, remember? The coyote flips me a coin through the bars. I stare at it. Where did you... Saw it lodged in the wall when Murdoch lit the magnesium. Mouthy bastard nearly blinded me twice when it sparkled. Tears spilled down my face. And for the first time in weeks, these are tears of gratitude, not fear, nor resentment, nor self-disgust. You know what they say about piss poor luck? No. Be friends with the guy who ain't got it. He laughs at his own joke, then quickly sobers up. See, that was a joke at your own expense. I could tell that, William. You didn't ask why I laughed, though. Sure didn't. Damn it, son, I laughed because it was ironic. My look's garbage, too. I don't really believe that. Worse things have happened to me than this scar boy. You're good, Sam. I knew that through and through before you even proved it. And if my job is worth anything, it's to make sure good folks don't suffer. Is that all, though? Is that really why you're doing this for me? Because I'm good? That's not all, no. I didn't think so, William. Well, I'd hope your memory wasn't that short on account of everything I told you today. Something about letting things fester. A thing that good people do. Obviously. Well, you don't have to believe it. That's my task. But you should go easier on yourself. Can't do nothing about a rotten world but to be less rotten. And maybe forget to point out where the water throw is when the man tries to put out his own fires. Another pearl. I'm chock full of them. I believe it. You're good at being mouthy too. I smile. Well, I already knew that. Course you do. I can still smell me on your whiskers. Fuck you, William. Ain't my fancy. My chest tightens a little at that. Night, Sheriff. Night, whore. I wake up to the smell of burning pine. Firewood crackles. I see William standing over a pot that hangs from a rack on the hearth at the end of the room. He pours some of the contents into a bowl and brings it in my way. Morning, sunshine. Morning yourself. I look into the wooden bowl he shoves into my hands. It's a savory bean dish with green onions and small strips of meat. Sleep well? As best as I could, I reckon. Not surprised. Your first kill, it's always the hardest. Not keen on doing it for a second time, if that's what you mean. Most folks ain't keen to. Wish I could say that for everybody, but I've been around long enough to know better. I don't want to kill nobody. I mean, anybody. That's how good folks think. But life is hard and sometimes it's you or them if you want to keep living. Sons of bitches ain't held back by scruples. For some situations, you gotta learn to act without thinking. Frankly, it's a miracle you weren't the one that got pulled out of that hole. How's that? 'Cause you're stupid. Thanks, William. Most folks are stupid their first time. I don't think you'll be again. Again, I don't want a next time. I'm glad that you've got that all figured out then. Says you. That being the case, unlodge your head from your rear and take my suggestion seriously. I grunt in his general direction. Such as, learning to shoot wouldn't hurt. Neither would knowing how to lie. I lie plenty. I know. That's part of the problem. Shouldn't I learn how to be more truthful instead? Not around Jack's sort, no. I don't want to talk to too many of those. And you won't have to if I can suss them out without letting them know. Something that you failed to pull off, I must remind. Okay. My tail is snapping against the floor as it sways. No need to get your britches in a bunch. Just worried is all. What, about me? No, the Transcontinental Railway. Of course you dipshit. I feel a smile curl up on my face. What is this feeling? Is it arrogance? That's real sweet, William. Well, of course it is. I'm very sweet. Now I have to wonder if he's testing his lying skills on me. Nick knows what you do, don't he? Yeah. William lets out a breath. That could cause some problems for you. I don't think so. Nick keeps to himself. You're so sure? You ain't? Nick's our friend. So why is it that Nick was the first one who thought you might have done it? I back up. Nick wouldn't have done that. Willem shakes his head. Yesterday, before you showed up at the body, he didn't have proof, just concerns. Said he remembered the direction you had came from the time you got injured. Why would he do that? Probably because he knew I wouldn't go out of my way to screw you. But more likely because he had concerns about what Jack was up to for a long while. But I couldn't be sure. The four of us have to be on the same page. 4? Murdoch knows too. That's right. That's 3 who know. I don't care for how quickly that number's climbed. He's my responsibility, so you don't have to worry about him. So, what should I be worried about then? Anybody with stakes in making this town feel comfy again. There's a certain saying, the smaller the town, the more vicious the politics. Everything feels personal on a small scale. And some folks will look away from a greater many things to keep ego personal. So you want to see this shithole get bigger? I'd welcome another mainstay than just Mr. Hendrix's mine, if that's what you mean, yes. If the court dries up and there ain't enough coal or gold, it ain't Dora's uppity sideshow that's gonna keep this gravy train running, even if it might take years for the hip to go under. I can't say I'd be sad to see the ground swallow this place, really. Willem shoots me a look. That ain't fair, Sam, and you know it. We've been good to you here. Y'all try to murder me in a cave. Then what the hell am I doing for your sorry skin? That's a good fucking question. I don't practically know. Horse shit. We're helping each other like we always have. If you want to spit on that, we can do things your way. I'm not gonna waste my time on a man who's given up. Fuck's sake. I didn't give up. I'm just tired of everybody either acting against me or wanting something. That's another problem you have. I try not to knock paranoia too hard because more often than not, if your guts tell you something's fucking with you, then they probably are. But if you can't figure out who your friends are, you're just as bound for failure. So what exactly would I need to do that? Bit of life experience, bit of learning how to make focused observations. Tell you what, I'm hosting a poker party game at my office tonight at 7 p.m. when everybody's off work. Could teach you a thing or two about figuring out how to read people. Be here. If Madam lets me. She shouldn't make problems for us. But let me know if she does. It feels a little off to hear him say something like that, but I nod and put my finished breakfast on an end table. I rise and thank him, then turn a corner to pass a hallway and make my way out the front door. Before I get too far, I bump into a familiar face. Sam? Mornin', Todd. The otter whistles. So William had you stuffed up all there all night, huh? Me and him had to speak on some things. Doesn't surprise me, considering how close the both of you are and all. But doesn't he usually go to you? I blink. It wasn't that kind of a meeting, Todd. Oh. Of course not. I didn't mean to suggest you or William would disrespect the jail like that. It is public property, after all. I feel my eyebrow twitch. Aren't you usually on patrol at this time of the morning? Well, certainly. Normally, that is. But we've had some more recent disappearances. A fellow by the name of Huxley Green wandered off and his old lady is shaking. Poor thing. Drunk idiots probably skipped out on another botched gamble. I just hate to see a good woman cry. What makes you so sure she's good? 'Cause anybody that makes a huckleberry pie that is that good can't be wicked. And if they are, maybe I don't want to be right. That's definitely the sort of thing I want to hear from a law officer carrying a gun. Well, I'll be off. See you around later tonight. He waves. It doesn't take me long to get back to the hip. Nobody's lurking around the front. Harlan catches my gaze as I walk past the bar, but I make it back up to my room without much noise. I fuss with my whiskers and my vanity. Might be losing my luster from all this stress. At least my chest still looks good. Somebody's knocking? It's probably Cynthia. Come in. The door opens and Madame Dora strides in. My chest tightens. It's good that you came back to us, Sam. When you disappeared into the night with the rest of the town on the cusp of a riot and didn't show up until now, I had begun to wonder if you would. I was with William. I look away. He took me into custody. The doe sits on my bed and urgently places her hand on my shoulders. Pray tell, for what? I'm not supposed to say, but he wants me to help him with something. He might need me to visit him more often. Madam shakes her head. That man always wants help with something. Let it be said that I will do anything for my girls. I tell him what they tell me. Just enough. And he protects us to the extent of his capabilities. Just enough. Maybe overlooking an expired license here and there. Or lining up the circumstances to expose the adultery of our particularly violent clientele. But in my dealings with William, I have discovered a very curious thing. When my intelligence runs dry, so too does his protection. So always ask yourself this, Samuel. Am I telling him just enough? This way you'll find he's more of a reliable ally. Cynthia pokes her nose into the doorway. Madam? I'm awfully sorry to interrupt, but I was worried sick about Sam. Dora's expression softens. Of course you were, dear. I've spoken my piece to Sam here. I'll give the two of you some time. The trail of her shawl follows her out the room. Cynthia closes the door quietly. Sam, what in the world is going on? First you explode last night during work. Then you disappear all night. None of that is like you. Like I told Madam, William took me into custody. No, that's just where you went. You tell me this instant what's going on, Samuel Ayers. You tell me this instant, or you don't ever bother speaking to me again. The number of people who know just keeps growing. Too many to know. But this is Cynthia. Cynthia gets to know. I owe her that much. And I do my best to tell her what I told William last night, beat for beat. I think I'm getting pretty good at recalling these details by now. By the time I'm finished, she's staring back in sadness and terror. My God! Now it all makes sense. They're gonna say this is all your fault. I know. William said not to tell anybody. Maybe he thinks more things will come to light if I don't cause a distraction. I read about William in the papers. He used to be a big shot detective in the big city. Our little old backwater must be cake compared to what he's dealt with out there. Dora doesn't trust William. What do you think about him? Well, he's a cop, Sam. A cab. Of course you can't trust him fully. But he's native, so I fear him less. Just know that I'm trusting you with my life. I can't tell nobody. I won't. But Madam will probably find out if she doesn't already know. She always tends to. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I won't let you protecting yourself from some horrible thief ruin your life. You deserve better. She pulls me into a hug. I can't imagine what it was like to have to bear that all by your lonesome. Just know, now you don't have to anymore. Something in the air changes, like it feels less heavy. Tears are welling up again in my eyes. She pulls away from me and then pulls a slip of paper from one of her pockets, like it's just another ordinary day. I have your list. I take the paper from her and look it over. Just 2 clients in the late afternoon, thankfully. Holler for me if you need something. I have a list today, too. I thank her again before she leaves. I freshen up for the rest of my day. Their desires aren't difficult. One of them just wants a warm mouth and he comes fast. Another just needs a chest to hold him as he puts himself in and fills up his condom. The rest of my day is easy. Harlan just has me move a few shipped boxes to the back for him. I make sure to let Cynthia and Madam know where I'm going this time. Tonight's an awful lot quieter than yesterday was. No folks out on the porches playing poker. It feels like an unsettling lull. Or the calm before a storm. When I reach the front of the sheriff's office, I see Todd, but he must have seen me first. Oh, William said you might be coming around this time, but you're a little early. He's fine. Come on in. William leads me to his office. In the corner, sitting away from the desk, there's a large round table with 6 stools. He takes a seat and I sit directly across from him. I wouldn't even bother trying to win tonight. What I think you should focus on is trying to figure out what everybody else will do to try and win. You could learn a lot about the players. Especially me. Just know that I'm going to fuck with you. Sounds about right. Todd stands up to answer the door. A huge shape darkens the doorway. Evening. I'm not prepared for the surge of emotions when I hear Nik's voice. Relief. Guilt. Fear. I didn't think I was going to see him again for a long time after last night. I smile, but I don't make eye contact. And then he sits next to me. You finally playing a game with us? His scent is particularly earthy today. He must have been working long hours in the mines. Was William's idea. Course it was. Course it was. Todd rises again to go towards the knock on the front door. I hear their voices before I see him. Isn't this locale a bit dreary to have a get-together? Todd turns to light the oil wick to brighten up the room just a bit, frowning. Willem hosts the games. Willem gets to pick the location. Oh goodness, Samuel is here. He puts a sing-song voice. I know who I'm sitting next to. I wasn't expecting a room full of mine tonight. Well, mine and Todd, I suppose. Willem sighs. When you said you were bringing company, Murdoch, I assume you meant somebody local. Did you really want to play with Ralph? The coyote grunts. Well, we're here just for a friendly card game. So it's best to keep it casual for a newcomer. Don't you agree? I look between the both of them. Willem stares the little fox down. For the smallest moment, something like a revelation flashes across his face, then his muzzle curls into a smirk and nods. They both know something that I don't. Am I unwelcome here? I didn't say that, but I suspect that he did mean it. Beer and parlor games just seems a little lowbrow for a fine fellow from across the pond such as yourself. It's an ocean, not a pond. But the train ride was considerable. Cliff slides into a chair beside me. Murdoch sits between him and William. Todd takes the seat between Nick and William. The otter starts shuffling a thick, worn deck of cards between his webbed hands. Does anybody need to learn how to play? He looks over to Cliff. The weasel glares daggers back at the otter, so he breaks eye contact. I could use a refresher, been a while. Todd's eyes light up. Of course. Rounds in poker are fairly fast for a card game. After I shuffle the deck, I give each of you 5 cards face down. He gives each of us a card face down going clockwise. The objective of the game is to make sure that you have the best hand. Or, most importantly, to make everybody else think that you have the best hand. The game about lying, huh? Willem's glance meets mine for a second before he returns to Todd. The hardest part can be remembering which hand can beat which. 5 of a kind is the best hand, but only if you deal a deck with a joker. It's the wild card. Are we playing with the joker in the deck? I feel it can make the game too hectic at times. I don't mind a little bit of chaos. No joker this time, maybe some other week. Right, then let me explain the best possible hands. The best possible hands you can get this game is a straight flush. That means any 5 cards with the numbers in the row, all the way from ace to king, and the suits have to be the same. I'm glad I already know what the cards mean because neither ace nor king are numbers. I see the sweat on Todd's brow. If more than one person gets a flush, the highest order wins. 4 of a kind is the next best. What's that? Todd makes a choking sound. Well, you see... You don't have to explain that, Todd. He's fucking with you. You devil. Well, yes, the next highest is a full house. Is that what Todd dreams about whenever he tastes Miss Green's pie? Now hold on just a second. Laughter fills the room. Nikolai clears his throat, and all of us goes quiet. I feel it is very rude to speak when somebody is explaining the rules. But watching Todd squirm brings me much joy. Proceed. Unbelievable! Sorry, friend. Alright. Listen up, dipshits. A full house is 2 cards of one kind and 3 cards of another. Like 2 kings and 3 queens and so forth. Next sequence to win is a flush, which means all cards of the same suit. Then there's a straight, which is just 5 cards with increasing ranks in a row. Then 3 cards of a kind, then 2 pairs, then 1 pair. Does this convocation of clowns have any particular questions about the hierarchy of winning hands? Funny enough, I remember the order. I just forgot how the sequence of the game goes. You take a look at your cards, then think about how good your chances are. Betting happens clockwise in turns. You can check, raise, call, or fold. Checking means nobody has bet yet, and you're choosing not to use any of your money. Money? How much are we betting? This will be good. Nik pulls a large potato sack from under his table and empties its contents on the table with a loud clatter. No money, bottle caps. Cliff frowns. You're loaded. You don't need money. But wouldn't real money be more exciting? Having things that we do not have would be exciting, yes. Cliff opens his mouth again, but William shoots him a look that makes him shut up. There are more interesting things that we could be betting besides money. Christ almighty. No. Todd, continue. Right. Instead of checking, you can choose to raise. This means every player has to match the amount of chips, or in this case, bottle caps, to have the amount raised, and place those chips in the middle of the table. A player can fold, refuse to bet, losing the round, but keeping their chips. How many times are we allowed to raise the bet? Our house rule is a limit of 2 times with a maximum of 10 chips, otherwise one round could take forever. Are we ready to begin? Murmurs of agreement circle the table. Todd deals the cards and I pick mine up. They could have done like strip poker. It wouldn't be that like out of the norm. Not terrible, but it could be better. I know nothing of poker, so I have no idea what happens in this scene. Willem is staring directly at me. I'll raise. He flashes me a grin and puts a few chips in the center. Murdoch looks calmly around the table. Then I'll have to fold. Cliff's lower lip trembles. I must fold as well. Jesus, you two, you don't have to fold that fast. I think I'll call. A pair isn't amazing, but 2 kings ain't bad. A shame Cliff and Murdoch didn't show their cards upwards. I fold. Jesus. I'll call. There we go. I'll draw 1. Just 1? That has me a little nervous. Todd too, by the looks of his eyes. Maybe William's trying to get a specific combo? I'll throw away the 9 and the 7 and the 4, then push them to the center. 3 please. And 3 for me. The otter turns his cards over and frowns immediately. William is staring at me with a shit-eating grin, and this time he shows teeth. I bet. I look at my hand and think. Still not looking too good. I've already wasted 2 of my 20 bottle caps. I fold. I fold. William collects his prizes and reveals his cards. The hand is complete garbo. What the hell? Oh, I could have beat that. Nik is smiling and Murdoch is holding his chin in his palm. Y'all let me lead you around by the nose. Don't let me do that. Round 2. Murdoch collects our cards and shuffles while William starts to hand out cards from a second deck. I take a look, hoping my luck is a little better this time. Not great. I'll bet. Then I'll call. Murdoch looks like he's just as confident as William was, but he's probably full of it. A little bit tired of these goddamn dogs yanking my chain, so I'm not gonna play their game this time. I fold. I fold. I fold. And I'll call. Cliff's whiskers twitch when he hears that. I'm taking 3. Thought as much. 3 as well. Just 1. Murdoch watches William draw, smirking. I raise. William sends his smile right back at Murdoch. I call. I raise. William's tail is flicking side to side as if he has the other 2 cornered. Shall we reveal? What an excellent idea. Very well. The 3 of them flip. William's 2 pair is higher than Cliff's. But Murdoch has 3 queens. Huh. Didn't you just give us a lecture to keep you in check? I had better chances this time. Cliff collects our cards as Murdoch deals a shuffled deck. Cliff wrinkles his nose as he stares at his hand, then Murdoch deals him his last card. Excellent! I will have to bet this time. Oh, I like that. Mother of God. Fold. Nik lets out a pensive hum, looking at me. Call. Raise. If the otter was beaming any brighter, I'd swear he was the sun. Fold. What? No tricks this time? Willem's smile is toothy again. If that's what you want to think. Cliff doesn't seem intimidated. Nik scratches beneath his muzzle. I fold. Then it is up to me. I'll draw 3 cards. 3 for me as well. And I'll draw 3 too. I see Cliff's eyes widen with excitement. I raise. I will fold then. I call. The otter puts his in rather quickly. Show me what you've got, sir. Did Todd just look away in embarrassment? And did he blush? No way. I always pictured him having eyes for Miss Green. Not Cliff of all people. I mean, it's Cliff. He's cute. He flips his card, showing off his hand. 3 queens. Cliff reveals his hand. 3 kings. Shoot. I thought I had that one. I collect everybody's cards and shuffle while Cliff rakes in his bottle caps. No shame in losing an honorable standoff. I got lucky. Cliff deals the hands. Finally, something workable. If you say so. I bet. Nikolai chuckles. I call. What, is he doubting me? I suppose he should, considering all the lies I've been telling as of late. I feel myself frown. Todd lets out a little squeaky sigh. This just ain't my game. I fold. I notice Willem's ears perk up at that. Is his disposition improved after Todd folded? Then maybe he needs others to do badly. So he'll practically call and fake his hand the rest of the game. I call. Gotcha. I fold. And so must I. Alright. If Willem's hand is bad, and Nikolai is underestimating me, then I could actually win this one. I'm drawing 3. Just the 1. I don't like that. Is he taking a big risk, or does he have nothing to lose? 3 myself. At least I know his hand is lousy for sure now. He's smiling big, but that's just the same expression he wore before. That must be the face he put on when he doesn't want somebody to read him. So in other words, he must have something to hide. He probably still has a lousy hand. Nik just has a really concentrated expression. I can't really tell what he's thinking. But this looks really good for me. I bet. I call. Nikolai isn't folding? Well, maybe he thinks that his hand is just good enough to beat mine. Willem lets out a one-note laugh and then puts his lilting tone. Then I raise. What? Bullshit, William. Bull-shit. Neither of you folded? Guess I'm eating shit. He reveals his hand. Ha! 2 deuces. Pathetic, William. Pathetic. 2 pair. Not bad. But unfortunately, the stick was stacked against you. He reveals all 4 kings and an ace. Seriously? I had the 4 kings from the start. He wasn't acting distant, he was just avoiding drawing attention to himself. I really am bad at this. It's my turn to shuffle. Wait. Who's... I hear a shot. Nikolai lunges, pushing me to the floor. Cards and bottle caps fly as the table turns over and everything hits the floor. I hear Cliff scream, and William is already on his feet. His gun is drawn. Shots go off. My ears are ringing. More glass shatters. There's a horrible noise like a person gargling, then a thud. Everybody stay down! Willem runs out the room. There's a squeaky whine coming from under the table. He's injured! Who knows first aid? Do something! Somebody help him! It's only a bit of blood. It grazed my... The fox yelps. Todd is already pulling a box from a cabinet. Gauze for the wound. I look behind where Murdoch was sitting. There's nothing there. But there is a bullet lodged into the wall behind where Cliff was sitting. I tense up when a shadow covers a window. Todd, come help me with this body. He's dead? Yeah. Cliff sobs on the floor while Murdoch clenches his teeth, hissing. Nikolai kneels between Cliff and Murdoch, applying pressure to the gauze while he pats the shaking Cliff. Hey, you want me to help him? Take a deep breath. You must be helpful to yourself first, before you can help anybody. If our friend can be brave after taking the bullet, you can be brave too. I don't feel very useful here. The least I can do is follow William and Todd, scouting to be an extra pair of eyes. There might be more of whoever attacked us lurking around. But it wasn't too smart to fire off a gun into an armed police sheriff's department. Maybe they thought the night would give them enough cover to shoot once and get away. Turns out they were wrong. I hate this place. It takes me a while for my eyes to adjust to the moonlight. Willem is crouched over the body with Todd looking left and right over his shoulder. His gun is drawn. Can you identify this man? Not at the tip of my tongue. Gray Fox looks young. I recognize a handgun model though. That's a 1910 model. It's a self-loading handgun. Not surprising that he missed. Was he there this whole time? During the card game? Willem smiled. Very good, Sam. Murdoch knew too, didn't he? He placed himself very well to keep an eye on the window. I can't imagine how he managed to keep his gaze from the window for that long while watching out the corner of his eye. Maybe he'll illuminate me later on why he was followed. Todd, go fetch a bedsheet. We'll wrap him up just to get him out of the alleyway. Yes, sir. Prickles go off on the back of my neck, like we're being watched, but I don't see any lights turn on in the townhouse room above us. Starlight speckles the sky in the wing, picks up. Todd returns with the sheet and lays it on the ground. They push him onto it and roll him up. Then they carry him inside into the jail. His body lands on the ground of a cell with a thud. They lock the door. I suspect it's to keep anybody from getting in, considering this one's going nowhere. That revolting smell of shit and blood brings me back to the cave, and I walk away feeling myself retch. We have a lot of paperwork to fill out in the morning. Todd wilts. Fun. It disquiets me that neither of the two seem much fazed. That fox looked maybe young enough to be 15. Why would he throw his life away like that? Nikolai walks into the room with Murdoch leaning against him. The fox's clothing are stained with dark patches of crimson, and his eyes are closed. His shoulder is bound in ribbons of heavy gauze. Cliff hovers behind, wringing his hands. This one's all patched up. You feeling all right, buddy? A bit woozy is all, but fine. You shouldn't be talking right now. You should be resting. That can wait. Do you know why you were followed? Followed? No, but I know who he is. Was. Jimmy Fisher. The fox can barely keep his eyes open. Orphan, flunky, did odd jobs around the town, rarely well. His speech slurred a little. Suspect he stole poppy shipments from Ralph. Never caught him. Know that folks would go to him for favors. Dark things. Bad news. He could barely get any of the words out now. I'm taking them both home. You should go with them, Todd. I thought so too, sir. Stay safe. We'll hunker down. Nik and Murdoch hobble out the front door with Todd and Cliff following closely. The door shuts. I hit the wall with my fist. Why the hell would somebody shoot at us like that? I will admit that this is the first time somebody was stupid enough to try and shoot at me in my own office with my deputy nearby. But stay here long enough and you'll find a lot of shit in this town that doesn't make much sense. Like a child thinking he can gun down my guests on my own turf. Or more people missing than is ordinary for a town this size. Somebody or something in this town is up to no good. And the worst thing is, I don't even think it's all necessarily connected. I just know that they pay me too much for whatever's happening here to be ordinary. That's part of why I don't mind putting Mr. Hendricks in an uncomfortable position. So, think he's responsible for something? There's no doubt in my mind that he's responsible for some of it. I just haven't honed in on anything as of yet. I feel a pit in my stomach. What sort of strange things, William? Todd weren't troubling Miss Green just for her pies. Her husband's missing. I look back over to the jail cell. I can see the moonlight in those sheets. It's not hard to imagine them rise and fall beneath the fabric. They don't. Should we be talking about this here? He can't hear us, son. But what if he can? He's not anybody anymore. Unless there's something inside of him that still can. Something that poisoned him. Just like Jack's cave. Just like dirt beneath our feet. This town is cursed. I think Willem knows that, but he doesn't know how to put that into words. I don't think he's a spiritual man. I never seen him go to church. Though it's not like I do either anymore. I just feel it's disrespectful is all. Willem looks at me like he knows I'm fibbing. What are you afraid of, Sam? Most of everything. I was brought up a God-fearing man. Willem crosses his arms and furrows his brow. You're dodging my question. But I'll entertain it. Leviticus 18:22 never held you back from doing what you do. You don't seem like the type who memorizes scripture, Sheriff. You pick up a few time and again, but that ain't important. I don't take you much for a literalist, Sam. You read between the lines when you want to. I don't think you're afraid of God standing in that corner. From your perspective, surely he could just hear us as well in my office as in front of that corpse. The both of us turn to the sudden loud banging of a hammer. And he could hear us over Todd bordering up the window too. Him being all-knowing and all-powerful and all. Fair enough. So I'll repeat myself, Sam. What are you afraid of? I've never been much good at blocking things out. Even when I want to. Just some mean and stupid rocks tumbling around in my head. Don't call yourself stupid. Only I'm allowed to do that. Says who? The red on your face. He pats me on the cheek. I slap his hand away. What are those rocks spelling out, Sam? Just an ordinary sin. Such as doubt. William hems. It's ordinary for men to doubt the existence of God, Sam. I don't think you should be hard on yourself for that. I ain't scared of him being fake. If God ain't real, we just don't exist anymore when we die. And that would be that. I know that there are worse things than never waking, for certain. So what's the worst thing you have on your mind? He doesn't seem like he's going to budge on this. I already feel guilty for thinking it, so I might as well say it. Well, I cough and clear my throat. It's the same fear I've always had, really. Ever since I was a boy. I knew that if God must be real, I start to stutter over my words. I knew that I'd be scared of the possibility that our tiny animal minds could never begin to process what God really is. And the Bible was written by people, so they wouldn't be able to get it close neither. And that we never understand the vast and terrible workings that make up our mind, body, and soul. And that when he makes us in our mother's womb, he already knows who we'll be and how we'll die. Right at the very start. And it doesn't matter if we're good, we're kind, we're cruel, we're callous. We're all just meals for him. And through the eternity of our lives, he feasts on everything that we are. The trembling of my lips stops. I rub the sweat from my brow. If you can hear me, God, I'm sorry of thinking that. But every time I push the thought away, it always comes back. Christ Almighty! I told you that the thought was wicked. The coyote pinches the bridge of his nose. No, I asked, so this is what I deserve. I just never pained your brain for being that. He waves his paw in a circle in the air. Artistic. That's all. I think it bothered him. That's a mite difficult considering the gunshots, the wounds, and the dead boy, but I'll step to it. A bit of rest will do us some good. You should go back to the hip. I have the faint inkling you wouldn't get a wink of sleep tonight if you stayed. Wouldn't stay, not even if you paid me. Well, make sure you check in with me tomorrow. We need to put ideas together. You have a lead? This one should be easy. How? Sam. No, we have a bullet and a firearm. You think a boy is just running around willy-nilly with a loaded gun he bought at a store so he could stalk and gun down a target after hours? No, an adult gave him that weapon. But who? Either somebody very crafty or somebody very stupid. Though I'll bet the rest of my left ear that it was somebody very stupid. What time should I show up tomorrow? Apart from a visit to the coroner and purchasing a window, I should be here all day, so whatever suits you. I'll see what I can do. I open the door, letting my eyes adjust to the dark road. Seems like nobody's coming. Good. Hey. I turn to William's barking voice behind me. Just one more thing before you go, Sam. Yeah? Lighten up. He shuts the door on me. I wish I could, you stubborn bastard. Maybe he stayed calm because he thinks he won. Because he protected us. Because he thinks he's always one step ahead. But if that bullet wasn't clean, it broke Murdoch's skin. If it gets infected, he might die. And I think somebody wanted that bullet in Cliff. I can't be calm about that all. I don't think you should be either, William. Then again, maybe you aren't. I don't know. Maybe next time I should ask what scares you. And this is a natural stopping point. So, you got a little bit of an introduction to William. What do you guys think about him? Is he to be trusted? Is he not to be trusted? Because, he's a sheriff. What they say about cops. Anyways, in the later portion of his story, he does give off like, oh yes, I want to protect you, Samuel. But he also kind of gives some, oh, but I'm protecting you because I kind of see you as my property type of vibes. But that might change as the story progresses. You never know. They're also about to introduce somebody that you wouldn't have expected from William's past. I mean, if you saw the little, what's it called? The figure right here, that might give you an idea who that person might be. And this is William's office too. There's like little clues here and there. Let's see if you spot one of them while I'm talking. But anyways, thank you for watching / listening, and if you would like to play any of the Echo Project games yourself, there will be a link down in the description for 4 of them. And if you would like to support the Echo Project, there will also be a link down in the description for their Patreon, where you can subscribe to them and get early access to all of their current projects. And since it's March, at the end of the month, you will get earlier access to Arches, which is the sequel to Echo, you will also get earlier access to the last portion of Jenna's route. And speaking of, they did release an update for Echo, but it does not contain the last portion of Jenna's route. Instead, it contains some new sprites for Kutsu for God, what the fuck is his name? I think his name is Sebastian, or I don't know, but the B team character for TJ's route. There's a sprite for Inji, which is the guy that lives in Sydney's house now, and there's a sprite for the mayor, who's Flynn's aunt, who kind of looks like Flynn, just with boobs. Anyways, there's also new sprites for the child versions or the young versions of the Echo cast, with the exclusion of Chase because he's the main character and you're always seeing things through his eyes. And there is also a new sprite for Mr. Bronson. And if I'm creative enough, then I'll show you guys through here. I don't know. But yeah. I might, big might, on my own time, meaning that it's not part of the schedule, I might redo Carl and Leo's route. Mostly because those are the two routes that I did before I really started to edit anything. So they contain some errors, some weird things here and there. So if I redo Leo's route, you'll also get to see two new things that they added. In the scene where Brian has Chase kidnapped, and this is spoilers in case you haven't seen Echo yet or read it yourself, okay? So this is spoilers. It contains images that show what happens to Chase. So if you recall what happens to him there, then you'll actually get to see that. Slightly less graphically. And there's also that scene where Leo and Chase are at the high school. There's a new, image thing for that. That's kind of neat. And for Carl, I think that they changed some of the scenes for the cabin so that you can actually, tell what's going on. So that they changed how it's filtered. So they kind of toned it down and they kind of added outlines to certain objects and stuff like that. And so it looks better, in my opinion. And Raven also has updated sprites too. So he's not just sort of standing there all the time. He's actually reacting to what's going on now, it's cool. And let's see what else. They added some new music. They did some other little changes here and there. So it was basically a quality of life update. And the next update, which is at the end of March, will be, I'm assuming, the final update for Echo. And then Arches will also come out towards the end of March, because I guess they release things now at the end of March. Or at the end of the month instead of towards the middle or whatever, how they were doing it before. Anyways, but yeah. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.